Hello and welcome. Today we're going from Davao to Samal Island in the Philippines on a little how-to guide, just to show you just how easy and simple it is to travel from one side to the other. Now there are multiple destinations on Samal Island, and you can also got multiple start-off points as well in Davao. There's about 3 different places that you can get private transportation to the different resorts. What we are using is the hybrid car ferry and a people carrier. As you can see, all of the people starting to queue to get off. So this is going to be a how-to guide, like I said, from one side to the other, starting in Davao just here. Now we did time it very luckily, timed it well with regards to the ferry just arriving, so you weren't in the queue very long at all. It always seems to be there's a huge amount of traffic trying to get over to Small Islands. Of course, well, it's an island, so they need to get all the bits and pieces over there, but for the human beings, the queues were never that long. Just to the right hand side, we paid, I think it was 30 pesos per person. So at the time of me being here, it was 80 pesos to the pound. So you can just work out now that we paid 30 pesos, I do believe, per person to be able to do what we're doing now. They give you a little token. You put the token in, you go through the little booth that you've just seen just there. Then you've got a passenger's log, so you've got to fill out the form. It's literally just put your name and age on there for the people that are going to be traveling. So that's what all of this is to do with. And then we just walked straight around and got straight on. So we did not stop at all. So it was good timing. There is a place that you potentially can buy some snacks and drinks in the more busy season, but it was shut as we were coming through. But you can see you've got all of the chairs and everything like that where people are sat on, because they were not getting on the one that we were getting on, because from this point you can go to 1 or 2 other destinations as well. So you just have to be careful where it is that you are ending up, because you might be going to one of the resorts and they've got a slightly different transportation and so on and so forth. But you can see all of the cars that are lining up, and we literally just wrap around, get straight onto the boat, and it's really nice and simple, nice and easy. You get yourself up on the boat, you sit yourself down, then we'll go back into the time lapse that you just saw, which was pretty much the whole journey, to be honest, because as we start to walk around this corner, to the left hand side is the island that you're going to. So it's really not that far away, but the island itself is absolutely massive. It's full of all different resorts, lots of different waterfalls. The island's just there in front of us, but we were actually heading off to one of the bat caves that they've got over there, which is the largest bat cave in the Philippines, and I think it is in the Guinness World Records as well. So there'll be a video appearing on this channel shortly with the full walk round of all of that. That did look absolutely amazing, but you can see all of the cars that are loading up. We get onto the one on the left hand side just here. You can see that there is another ferry already appeared to the right hand side, all completely different configurations as well. So some are more for cars, others are sort of a mix like what we're getting on right now. You walk yourself up the stairs, sit yourself on the chairs, and then you will be good to go. So it is very nice and easy and simple, and it is very, very cost effective. The only thing that can catch you out, depending on if you're going to the resorts and different things like that, is how much the bikes and trikes will cost to get to these resorts if you miss the free shuttle bus. Now they are well equipped with literally hundreds of people waiting to take anybody over to all of these destinations, but if you do miss the bus, you have got the opportunity to speak to somebody and you will get on there. But the actual transportation to get to the resort is a lot more than what the ferry actually is. So just bear that in mind. If you are getting on one of a different type of ferry that will take you directly to the resort, then you're absolutely fine. You don't have anything to worry about. But we're literally from here going into the middle of the island, so you can see just how big it is on the left hand side and just how big it is on the right hand side. Now if you have done this route before, let me know in the comments exactly where it is you ended up and how easy was it for you, because over to the right hand side, right in the distance in the water, there's a bridge being built. Now there is a different boat that goes that way that takes you to a couple of the different resorts over there. No off-sea traffic, and it's just a much more chilled way, so you can get all the way over to the resort on that side. There's a lot of resorts on the left hand side as well where they do run the buses and things, and there is multiple points in Davao. There's 3 different places that you can leave on different beaches and different setup areas where you can actually get over to Samal Island, and then you actually arrive on Samal, obviously in different locations as well. So you might have to do your research ever so slightly depending on what location it is that you're going to, but they're all very, very close together, and it is very simple. And there's going to be lots of videos coming. If you're watching this for the first time, there is other boat trips that I've done going from different ports. One of the trips we went from one port and we came back on another, so it really does not matter how you get to and from, but you can see all of those people that were getting off the boat and all of the people that are still on there waiting to get off, and just how beautiful and clear the water actually is. Now, of course, if anybody has any questions about anything whatsoever, I will do my very, very best to help. But this was a magical experience, because the video that's going to follow this is probably just going to be a long motorbike drive going from here to the actual back cave. Then there's going to be the back cave video, and then there's going to be another cool video to follow. So there's a few different bits and pieces that we did on Samal in the afternoon. So we got here, I think, around lunchtime. It didn't take too long to get around. Really nice to explore all the different bits and pieces. You could spend quite a lot of time on Samal if you wanted to, especially if you're going to be staying at some of the resorts. You could easily spend a couple of nights there at the resorts, then get off and then go into Samal Island itself and just see all the other little bits and pieces that it has to offer. But you can just see how big it is. So in the distance, in the water, that's where they're building the big bridge. That is also where some of the resorts do start. You can see all of the different like docking bits that they've got dotted around to the left and the right, where different boats of completely different sizes end up going into the mouths of all of that, because each thing has its almost like its own private beach where they've got its own nice little walkway. But this is almost like the major hub for all of the cars and human beings getting on and off. So what we're going to do now is literally just walk in a straight line. I do believe we grab a shake, because there was a nice little shake place, but look how clear that water is. It is honestly outrageous, and it doesn't look that warm, but it's probably about 33, 34 at the moment. So yes, it is a little bit toasty, and obviously they're always doing work over in Davao trying to improve different bits and pieces. So hopefully when I go back later on this year, if possible, be able to see all of the differences. And there will be a lot more video coming from the Philippines in the year of 2026. So you can see now to the right hand side, that is everybody leaving the island ready to get back on. You can see all of the lorries that are queuing up. So depending if you do it on a public holiday, the queue that I saw to get over to Samal, it must have been most of the day. Honestly, you must have been waiting in that queue for most of the day to get over, because obviously there's only a certain amount of transport that they can get on at a time. But you can see, again, it's the same process. When you walk in, you've got to sign the passenger manifest. To the right hand side, just there, is where you buy the actual token, and then you just go straight through the little sort of twizzly bit, and then you're good to go. So very, very simple, very, very easy. But yet you've got everything from massive lorries to buses to little cars, loads and loads of mopeds and motorbikes that you would have seen in this video and previous videos as well. But it is a very, very simple thing to do up until the bit that we're about to see. Now, as we start to come up and it comes to the main road, there is hundreds and hundreds of people asking you where it is that you want to go, and then you can just jump in and go. You've got loads of different trikes that you can get on. You've got loads of other little bits and pieces like that as well. Now, some of the more touristy destinations, there are people waiting there to bring you back to these places as well, so you're not going to get stuck, but it's not like you could just easily call a taxi or anything like that. So you do have to be cautious and a bit weary of the different places that you are going, especially some of the resorts, because some of the resorts you pretty much are really, really far out. So obviously there's no traffic that way. It's super, super private. So you will rely on their own coaches running, which I think run 3 times a day. I think they come and can pick you up, take you back, and so on and so forth, and they're very, very cost effective as well. So again, if you've got your luggage and all those little bits and pieces, it makes life very, very easy. But yes, some of the resorts that they've got here are very, very special. So we're still trying to get out all of the vehicles. You can see the huge queue to the left hand side, so you can just imagine again how long that they're going to be stuck there for until they can get on the actual ferry and shoot over to the other side. Once we've gone past the last sort of security checkpoint, which is there to my left hand side, it'll open up a little bit, And then you come to the first area to grab yourself a drink and some other little bits and pieces. Now, the petrol station on the left-hand side, that seemed to have a load of motorbikes in, and that's what we ended up getting on. So we had an opportunity of getting in like a little trike thing or something else, and then we decided that 3 of us would get on a motorbike and go over that way. But you can see the blue and yellow things driving around. This is the selection of some of the drinks. This is the first store that you see when you get off. This was extremely tasty, but also very, very difficult to drink with a straw while you're on a back of a motorbike. So it was a bit of a fruity experience, but it was good fun at the same time. So once you've had the drink, you do walk out in a straight line, and then it is just bedlam. There is loads and loads of people dotted around just on that area, which is obviously really nice to see. I will try and add some footage in on the return leg of it, just so you can see just how busy it is, because from there you can see all of those people to the right hand side where the buses are. There's hundreds and hundreds of people, and you've got loads and loads of those yellow wagons. We had to go through all of that, and then we managed to find somebody that dragged us over to the motorbike, and then we were off. But that is going to happen on our next adventure. To continue with the adventure that we are currently on, I need to add in the footage of the return leg. Now, the return leg is in real time because of just how chaotic the weather is in the Philippines. So it looks nice and calm now, all looks nice and easy, apart from this is the major pickup and drop off point, so it can get a little bit hustly bustly, because this is what we just saw about 30 seconds ago, with loads and loads of people there trying to get on there, all the different sort of drivers and things pointing in the correct direction, and obviously there's still a few people coming off. Now, the weather, it changes rapidly in the Philippines. Now, as we're looking at the floor, I will explain what is to come. It is pretty much an uncut all the way back, and you will just see the storm come in, the water get more and more choppy, and then I get absolutely drenched. The weather came down that hard that I had to put the waterproof the case back on the camera so the camera didn't get damaged. And when we arrive at the other side, the flood water is incredible, and it didn't take long. It came down that heavy. So once my hand gets out the way and we start looking at the floor, we should be good to go from now. So we are going to be walking down the way. Obviously the way that we came up was on the right hand side. We're now going to walk down on the left hand side. You've got the passenger bit that we've got to sign in, and then we're just going to go from there. But you will see this cloud just start to come in. So all we're doing now is making our way back to Davao. But the weather, like I said, you've got to be careful of it. Then if you notice flashes in the distance, you do really want to get yourself into shelter as quick as you can. Perfectly wrong timing to get on the ferry on this one. We did perfect timing on the way, but on the way back it could not have been a worse time to get on here, because everybody tried to shelter into the middle. I just gave up and carried on sat where I was right beside the water. So I think I was one of the wettest people, but it didn't really make a difference, because if you were trying to have shelter on the boat, there was no shelter getting off the boat to getting back to the port. So everybody ended up getting drenched anyway. 1 or 2 people that had the umbrellas, because obviously they forward plan everything. Massive congratulations to them, because they did manage to stay relatively dry, but your trainers were swimming by the end of the day. Now, what I did like is looking at the little boatyard just here, where they're obviously repairing all of these different ferries and things up. I find all that kind of thing fascinating. So it looks like it's having a bit of a spray job and a weld job just underneath, which is obviously always nice to see. So be interesting to see when that one is back running, because that one was twice as big as the one that we were on. So I just wonder if they're having to run extra boats because of what's going on. Now, to the left hand side, that is where you pay. So that is your where you get your little token. Go down the entrance, put the token in like we saw on the way through. So we're now going down on the entrance just there. Again, it's the same fee both ways, so you've got to pay it obviously per way that you go. Put it in the little turnstile, and then you are good to go just to get on and just obviously crack on and carry on. But there's plenty of traffic getting back on to the boat, as you can obviously see them starting to load up all the bits and pieces. There is the passenger's manifest again, just to make sure that you're obviously on, so if it does sink or whatever like that, then they know that you're on there so they can come and get you. And then, well, over the next 15 minutes, we have the enjoyment of the wind getting heavier and heavier and heavier, and the rain just getting unbelievably heavy. So stick with it, because like I said, this is completely uncut now, so it was nice and smooth on the way over, but just show you a true thing on the way back of just what it is like. So we just walk all the way down here. We do have to wait before the boat though, because we actually missed this one, I think. So that one's about to go. We get on the next one, which again doesn't take very long at all. They're running all the time, so it's really, really easy. And then before you know it, like we are now, we're about to get on. So there we go. So there, we're getting on. Cars are getting on. This is a different type that we were on before. And I think if we were on the one we were originally, I think we might have stayed a little bit more dry. But this one, I think it was a slightly different one. Just because I think it felt differently how we got on, but I could be talking absolutely nonsense and it might be the exact same thing. So everybody is filtering up and on. You can see just how clear the water is, but it's also a little bit more fruity with regards to how rough the water is as well, because of course, well, when we turn round to the right hand side, there is an absolutely enormous cloud on the right hand side, and that is where the problems begin. So all of a sudden things start to get very, very dark very, very quickly, and then, well, it just gets more and more chaotic from there, because when there's nowhere to go and there's a huge amount of water spitting at you, you just got to take it, basically. So as we start to wrap round, there's the cloud in the distance. So you can see the wind's already starting to pick up, trying to figure out where the best place is to sit. I ended up wrapping around the other way because I couldn't get through that way, and we just sit on the other side, which, to be honest, well, it was the only seats that were available, and that was where everybody got absolutely drenched. So I will go quiet, I think, over in segments of this video, just so you can see and hear the wind and the rain coming down and exactly what it's like, was getting all the bits and pieces in the bag and just making sure everything's all tickety-boo. But you can see just how choppy it is, and of course that is the rain coming down in the distance. And to the left hand side, as I pan round, it just gets darker and darker, and it was funny but miserable at the same time. That wind was unbelievably strong. So that is the storm that caught us out. It was something like from a film, really. You knew that it was coming, but you had no choice but to just grim and bear it. You would hope that you would get back before it caught you out, and we only got about halfway before it started to get quite heavy. Right, we are away. One of the boats is coming in, we're leaving. It's one of those weird illusions where it looks like you're either stood still or you're moving and you're not, but we are actually going backwards, and that one is actually coming in. And obviously you've just heard how vicious the wind is, and it will get louder and louder as we go, and I will just keep going randomly quiet just so you can hear how vicious the wind is. And then of course when the rain starts to kick in, just how loud that gets. Now the video in total is 30 minutes. We're already at 17-minute mark, so you will be laughing at me for probably at least 10 minutes of me getting absolutely drenched, as does Admira as well, but she does take shelter, I do believe, under a stranger's umbrella. So how she managed to stay more dry than me, I do not know. But you can see just how choppy the water has got and how quickly it's got choppy as well. So you just know that it's going to get very, very heavy very, very quickly. Everybody bolts for the middle, and it's just one of those things. But overall the day was fantastic, because of course this is the way at the very, very end of the day. We didn't just randomly go to the island and come back again. So we've already done the adventures that we wanted to do that will be following this upload. So we've got the how to guide of getting from where we turned around from in this video all the way to the Batcave. Then we've got the Batcave video, and then we've got more of a vlog style. So there we are. That's how windy it is with the fancy hairdo, and it is just getting worse and worse as we go. It does get darker and darker, so keep trying to protect the camera best I can before we put the case on. But yeah, there's a lot of that to come, because it doesn't look like it is, but it has already started to rain, just ever so slightly. So I'll let you listen to that now.
Do you want a towel to stop you getting wet?
So you could hear us having the conversation in the background of trying to get towels ready just in case and everything like that. Now keep your eye on that boat. Doesn't it look majestic in the background? You see everybody's moved already because the rain is spitting so fast that everybody that was sat at the far end was getting absolutely drenched. So they've moved already. So they've bailed. It was only me and one or two other people that were stupid enough to stay where we were, but it was all good fun. So you can see that is now a blanket of cloud where that beautiful boat looked nice and majestic with the sun setting. That basically disappears in the fog. That disappears very, very, very quickly indeed. I'd love to know the pace that this storm came in, but it definitely smashed it down. So as it starts to get heavier and heavier, obviously I'll then go a little bit more quiet, but it now looks like the boat's empty. So I could have easily just moved to the other side, right, and just had it just sort of taken it to my face rather than having to keep turning around. But you can just see how choppy it is, but you can also see how far we've got already. And yes, the wind just keeps picking up more and more, but because this is completely uncut, I do believe, at least you'll see just how long it takes to get from one side to the other, because of course it was the whole journey on the time lapse, but I think the time lapse is like 1 second per 20 or 1 second per 15, so it really didn't take that long to do. So you can see that boat now is starting to disappear already, because obviously the mist and everything is starting to come in, and that blanket of rain is just getting closer and closer to us. And watching this back, knowing what's to come, well, it didn't really matter in the end, because you could dry your clothes off very, very, very quickly, because obviously it is so hot there. So my trainers got absolutely drenched, but the following day it was like 33, 34, so just shoved them outside in the sun for a few hours and they were bone dry and just carried on wearing them. So it really was not a problem whatsoever. Probably do recommend you taking flip-flops though. That might be a little bit of a better thing to do, but for the back cave it wasn't really suitable. So you might have, if I had a pair of flip-flops, I would have just put my trainers in my backpack that I was holding, and life would have been a lot more simple looking back at it, but it is what it is. So again, like I said at the start of the video, if you have gone to Samal Island before, or you've gone anywhere in Davao or just the Philippines in general, let us know what you think of it. Let us know what you've done with regards to the travel and just how easy you found getting about, and if it was suitable to you, because obviously what we're looking at now looks like a gorgeous bit of sun, but that really is slamming in your face. It stings. It was hitting you in the face that hard. So yeah, just took it like a trooper. But yeah, it did start to tickle after a while, and then it got to the point it was so windy I actually struggled to keep my eyes open, so I don't actually know where the camera's going to be pointing. But you can see that the raindrops are starting to get heavier and heavier. We are under shelter, so there is obviously a roof, but you can see all of the different bits and pieces coming off. So you can see all of the flakes and everything dropping off the top bar, and then before you know it, the floor just starts to pool with the amount of water that is coming down. Then it just gets louder and louder and louder. I can't actually see. So the big question is, did you keep your eyes on that boat that is about to disappear into the mist? Because that was the one that was really neat, clean and tidy and looked all majestic about 2 minutes ago. So that's how quick this is coming in, and it does just get worse very, very quickly. But it wasn't horrendous to be sat on. You could stay dry if you wanted to. I could have just moved over and not have got as drenched, because obviously I was right beside the edge. So it wasn't that bad, and even though the waves look really choppy, it really wasn't too bad at all. What you'll probably see towards the end of the video, as we start to get off the boat, is everybody on their mopeds on the bottom at the front of the boat, how they get on and off. They just stood there and they are drenched because they didn't have any shelter or anything, and obviously the other people just stayed in their car, so that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad for them, but I did feel sorry for the moped drivers, because they did look like they were drowning down at the bottom, and you will soon start to see all the puddles start to form. And then what we will do is we'll sort of make our way off the boat, and just how wet it is all the way up to the top. And basically our day of this video ends for us when we jump onto a jeepney but the actual battery ran out just as we started to get that direction. So what I will do in the next couple of minutes is I'll say goodbye to everybody, and then I'll just go quiet for that sort of 2 or 3 minutes so you can see all of the traffic and just how wet it gets very, very quickly. So you can see that I am just making sure that everything is dry with regards to the actual internals of the camera, putting the case on it now. So that is the protective case for the camera, because it did start to get that heavy that I did not want the camera to get damaged. Even though it's a GoPro and it is a waterproof thing, there's a little rip on the actual rubber, and if the water gets in on that, it will just damage everything, because it's already happened before. So now we are covered, and you can see now it is getting really, really close, and you can no longer see where we're going to in Davao. So what's that, another minute and it has completely disappeared. It only lasted for about half an hour, but it was impressive. You can see all of those people behind us. They were the ones that were sat on the chairs. They moved over. They were still getting wet as well. I just thought there's absolutely no point trying to move. I'm wet enough as it is, so I might as well just stay there and just film all these bits and pieces. But like I was saying, it did not feel too choppy when you're actually sat on the boat, because obviously it's really strong wind, the waves are quite strong, but the boat's really, really big and heavy because of all the weight of the lorries and everything. You didn't really notice it. So even if you feel a little bit seasick from time to time, I don't think you would notice it. But for this upload, that is it, and I am done. We are now going to be making a walk for it. That is the water dripping off my shorts. That's how wet we currently are. And we're now going to make our way out. So I'm going to go quiet so you can just hear the wind and rain for yourselves as we start to get to the port of Davao. So you can see that we're just making our way forward, but there are people stood ready on their motorbikes and mopeds ready to get off. And you can see just how heavy it got with all the puddles and everything like that. So if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Keep your eyeballs peeled for lots more Filipino content with regards to Davao and Samal Island and all the other little places like that. But we are about to make a move for it now, so you can join us getting absolutely soaking wet. First off, because I'm soaking anyway.
Oh yeah. Have to go somewhere.